welcome back to the Book Reading Bitch Queens podcast. I'm Allie.
I'm Sam.
Okay, so chapter 10, this is where we start off with, we had a little bit of a cliffhanger in chapter 9, and we are starting with the Bogge or the Bog. I don't really know exactly how to pronounce it, but I say Bogge. And we get that encounter with Lucien, and a lot of really interesting things happening there. And then it's just the rest of Lucien and Feyre on their little hunt through the woods, and they're just sort of talking about, how old he is and different things like that. And we end with so when they get back, Lucien tells Tamlin that they saw the Bogge. Tamlin goes to hunt it, and she's kind of sitting up waiting for Tamlin to get back, and then she sees her father,
Hmm.
the Puka.
We don't know it's a puka yet.
Yes, we find out that's true. Yeah, but we see her father coming,
I remember,
at the very end.
I remember reading this the first time, and when she said I saw my father, I was like, no. Like, I wasn't even slightly convinced that that's where this was going to go. I was like, there's no fucking way that her dad hobbled his ass for 2 whole motherfucking days to find. I was like, no, that does not track. Not even a little bit.
Remember what I thought? I remember thinking, I don't know. Yeah, I can't really remember exactly.
Although I did think it was kind of a cool little twist on like Beauty and the Beast, where like the dad, like Maurice gets taken and Belle comes searching for him. Where like this
Oh,
one she's taken and then like her dad sees her and I'm like, or she sees her dad come to rescue her, which is clearly not what happened. But I
mhm.
was like, huh, interesting little flip of that story.
Yeah. It's kind of like almost like okay, like the maiden being rescued by a man in general is kind of like fairy tale vibes, and it's like interesting, like because clearly Feyre is not a fairy tale kind of like she's like very much do it herself kind of
Yeah.
girl, but it's funny that she's sort of like maybe like her default or what she thinks that she wants is this like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even that's like not really what she wants, but it's like what she thinks would be good or something. But yeah, the father is very interesting. But okay, so starting on my first thing that I mentioned that I noted was the very first line, my blood froze. I've kind of talked about this before, but any mention of stuff like that, I always think your blood is heritage, blood is genes,
Mm,
your ancestors or your instincts from
yeah.
who your bloodline is telling you that this shit's dangerous. That's always going to be like you kind of do you think that too kind of when you
Yeah,
see stuff like
well,
that?
and especially because the next one, right? And a vague shimmering in the corner of her eye. Like here she is, where like she's seeing some weird shiny silver, like she did with the
Yeah.
whatever she saw in the garden.
Yeah, I almost wonder is like is the Boggy glamored from by Tamlin, or is it Boggy have his own glamour and she's able to see through it? Like does Lucian see a shimmering as well?
That or it's because that's how it kills you by you looking at it. Maybe it's like it can be seen, but you have
Yeah,
to
just as a
intentionally like
shimmering.
turn towards it kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of forgot about the
Think it's supposed to be a temptation, right? Because if all of a sudden you
definitely.
see something from the corner of your eye and you're like, what? Think that it's supposed to show that it's like a
Yeah.
temptation, that it's
Shiny.
taking all of her work to like not look at this thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I know, I do wonder what Lucian sees and hears.
If this was just a throwaway chapter for Moss to like show that there's some scary stuff in Prithian, to show this like kind of beginnings of camaraderie and some like giving each other shit between Lucian and Feyre. I'm not so mad at that, but I feel like there's enough in this tiny little chapter with this description that I'm like, this fucking thing is something that we're gonna see again.
Yes. Yeah. I really get that sense, especially since like, okay, the looking away, looking at, that's a huge theme to me. I mean, it's like 50 times on this page, but
Mm-hmm.
I also and also kind of like the puka is kind of the same kind of thing. It's like it's what she sees, it's what she
Yeah.
looks at, and like a lot of this stuff is about like your senses and what is reality and stuff like that. But just and eventually, whenever we get to Cornelius and Fury, when she says like when you look at the darkness long enough, that those all these things seem like
Mm-hmm.
tied to me. about, like, I don't know, magic, but also, I don't know. But so
Well,
I'm always gonna pay attention when we have, like, looking at things.
and I know we talked about this a little bit before we hit record, but it just reminds me of Bryaxis. Is that how we? Yeah, Bryaxis.
Yeah. I
Bryaxis.
think it's
Yeah,
Bryax.
Bryaxis. Um, Now I don't know if the Bryaxis or Bryaxis, right? I don't know if Bryaxis is trapped in the library or if it can come and go but prefers to stay in the library. I can't remember that sort of detail.
I think he prefers to stay in the library. I think it wanted to come back. That's why I wanted a visitor.
Well, and because when she asks it to fight for her, it makes a bargain with her because it doesn't want to leave. And so
Yes,
it's like,
yeah,
if you're gonna force me out of the place that I'm comfortable to go and fight this and, like, eat all these fucking people, I don't know, you could grind their bones with its claws and devour its bone marrow, if you will, during the war. Like, I need you to come back and hang out with me because I'm a bored little dude,
yeah,
which is a very interesting little bargain. But
yes.
it's like, oh, he just wants friends. Um, but this made me think of that, right? Because it says, I am what you fear, I am what you dread. And every time we talk about Bryaxis, it's really just like the manifestation of nightmares, right?
Of
It's like
fear,
whatever
yeah.
your fears are. And it takes on, like, does it take on that form, right? I don't know if it has a form or if it's more of that, like,
Just as
physiological
scariest,
sort
yeah.
of response, but scares the shit out of Cassian, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm wondering, especially with Bryaxis living in Valeris, like, I just don't know if there's a connection, and I might be stretching it, but if there's a connection between this creature that lives in the one place in this world that nobody knows about and is safe, whose person who allows him it to be safe, mate, is now in Prithian.
Meaning that it's the same type of creature or that it is Bryaxis?
That it is.
Oh. Okay, that's a little bit harder to get
Sure, sure.
behind, but I could see it being the same kind of thing.
But isn't Bryaxis one of the things related to the Weaver and the Bone Carver?
No, I don't think so. I
Hmm.
don't think so. I think they're like
It's a triplet situation, but with Koche?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe the Weaver and Crochet are twins, and then there's just the Bone Carver as well, like type of thing.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think Baraxis is not. I don't think related to anyone or anything,
Bryaxis
as
is
far
not
as
a
I know.
death god?
I don't think so. Yeah, is I always say Biraxis, but I think it is Bryaxis.
It is Bryaxis, but I don't like that. I like Bryaxis too, but
Hmm.
okay. Eh. Anyways, that's just what this made me think of, was that
Yeah. No, I
entity.
mean that is what we all should have thought of. I don't know
Yeah.
why I didn't think of that. Because it's very. I mean, maybe it's like a cousin. It's like a same type of
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
but like, I
Well,
I
you would
do
think
think
that
if it
there's
was the
not
same,
just
it would
one.
mention that
Yeah.
before.
Well, you would think there's not just one cereal, and yet here we are. But
Oh, I think. Well, it says their numbers are very limited, so I
yeah,
think there's maybe like I
like
don't know.
one that came from the other world because
Mhm.
it's what's her fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's just the one and they think there's some like several. Um yeah, that's true. Hmm.
So here's my thing. We've talked about what Feyre fears in the previous chapters, and like her biggest fear is insignificance. So, what the fuck could this thing turn into that would be able to kill her?
Maybe it's not I don't is it the fear that kills you? Or is it like once you look at it, then it can kill
Yes, it
you.
says because when you look at it, when you acknowledge it, that's when it becomes real. That's when it can kill you. So
Yeah.
does it become real, meaning it becomes what it normally looks like? Or does it become real like it turns into your fear and that's what kills you?
I always assumed it doesn't become your fear and it actually just like cuts you up with its claws or something. But that kind of would make thematic more sense for it to be like,
Well, yeah, and it says, "But I
yeah,
am your fear." So, like,
that's
I don't know,
true.
like, I
Yeah.
mean, I guess if first of all, I'm gonna shit my pants either way, right?
Yeah. This is
But, like, because if it's supposed to be something that's going to, like, eat me and crush me and do all the things, like, I'm sure it's gonna be terrifying. But if it tells me that it's my fear, and then I see a monster instead of, I don't know, the death of my children, which would be my actual fear, like,
yeah.
"Oh, you're not actually the thing I truly feared. Let's go. Off let's, like, I feel like there would be
Mm.
a moment to be like, "Oh, I mean, yes, you're terrifying, but you're not what my worst fear is."
Yeah. Well, and you'd think like the things that it said, you would think that it would be about her fear, right? Like no one loves you, no one remembers you. Like, but instead it's just saying like I'll
Yeah,
grind your bones, I'll drink your marrow. Like these are kind of like classic scary things.
yeah. Mm, mm. Hold on, because you're talking about blood earlier.
Mhm.
Bones and marrow and flesh. I just it's not talking about her insignificance or her biggest fear, it's talking about her.
Yeah. Between my palm, grind
I don't
your
know, it's just
bones.
like, mm,
I mean,
because that's also ancestry, right? That's also
mhm,
where you come from, right? Blood of my blood, flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone, all that shit, right?
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I almost wonder if it's like maybe what it okay, maybe it okay, this is like a stretch, but like so maybe it's not to do with fear. It's maybe it's like it's an attack on on magical beings. And maybe what it does, like grind your bones. Like okay, well, especially since you said like the blood thing always signals to me that's the magic in her blood that I
Mhm.
personally think is there. So maybe this thing actually like extracts magic, or extracts power. And that's most Fae's worst fear is like them being
Being powerless,
defenseless.
yeah.
And so maybe it's actually like something like that.
I mean,
Um
at the end of the day, someone's gonna be like, "Guys, it's just chapter 10."
It's just scary. It's just a little scary.
It's just to make Feyre and Lucien have to do something scary together, face a fear together
Yeah.
so that they can face fears later together, and, like, yes.
No, but there's always some shit there. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it could just be an oversight, but
Well, and what's interesting is, like, even if this was a throwaway chapter and, like, has no connection, the fact that we can sit here and fucking ponder if it's this other
mhm.
character, like, that's the whole point of this
That's
stuff.
where we
It's like,
yeah.
so, I wanna know what would
Yeah.
Feyre, right? I asked what Feyre would see, right? I don't know, maybe she would see Nesta and be like, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know how you see insignificance, like,
But, well, it would
you
have to be in the
know.
form of Nesta telling her that like, she's gonna be forgotten, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe see it in her sisters living on without her, totally
Yeah.
fine. But, like,
Yeah. It
and
would
then,
be
like,
hard
would
for sure.
Lucian do we think that Lucian's biggest fear is reliving the death of his person?
For sure. I think at this point,
Yeah.
yes, definitely.
And then it's like, and then Tamlin's what, Amarantha?
I feel like Tamlin's not that scared of Amarantha. I
Right?
feel like if anything, he dreads her, but I don't know what is Tamlin's
Like, what
fear?
is Tamlin most afraid of?
Okay, you know what? He just doesn't seem super motivated by like almost anything. He seems like he's half-heartedly trying to do this curse,
He
right? He's
doesn't
like,
seem smart enough to fear anything. Like, he just, I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know if it's because I feel like he has kind of a dude bro feel. Like, Tamlin is the
yeah,
jock of this story. He is
yes,
the frat boy jock who, like, yeah, C's get degrees. You're not stupid, but you're certainly not becoming a doctor,
hmm
right? And so it's just like, what is your biggest fear? Like, I'm not gonna have fun tomorrow.
yeah. I mean, okay. To be fair, he doesn't have like anybody. He has like Lucian, and he has no family. He has no siblings. Like they've all been
Yeah,
killed. So, but like, yeah, what does he fear? What does he value? I mean,
yeah, Farah.
maybe that's part of why we hate him because he feels so flat. Like, we don't he
Maybe,
doesn't, like,
maybe.
have some deep, like, longing. He it's
Yeah.
funny because he seems like he doesn't want the title in this book, of
Mhm.
course, and that's part all that stuff, anyway. But, like, in the second book, it seems like he wants Feyre and he wants everything because of the title, and I'm like, "I thought you didn't care." Like,
Yeah.
it seems, like, kinda weirdly contradictory.
Yeah, and I definitely think so. I am not. necessary I'm not in the school of people that are demanding a Tamlin redemption arc. I don't think
Yeah,
if he doesn't get one, I'm not upset. If he gets one, I'm also not particularly upset. Not because I think that he deserves one, because
just because it could be interesting.
but because then maybe we would know more. Like, it's granted, we don't know anything about him anyways in chapter 10.
Yeah.
And but we've read all the things, so like we know a little bit more, and it's still hard to be like, what does Tamlin want? What is he afraid of? What is his, like, the simple things of, like, like when you're writing a character, the like 20 questions that you ask of your character, we can't
Mhm.
answer those for Tamlin. Like, what is in Tamlin's pockets? I don't fucking know. What's in the trash can in his study? I don't know. Like,
Yeah, it seems like he only is about duty,
yeah,
and also, like, he doesn't really care about that
yeah.
duty that
Like,
much.
I can tell you exactly what's in Reese's pockets.
Yeah.
It's fucking paper and a piece of pencil for him to write notes to Feyre, like, very straight fucking forward. What's in
Yeah,
his trash can? Shit that he wanted to write to her that he is not gonna write to her, or fucking letters that he can't send to
yeah,
his inner circle, like,
yeah. Well, and like, the thing that he would fear is, like, Valaris on fire or Feyre dead or
yeah,
both,
yeah,
like, it's very easy to answer for Reese, but,
yeah.
yeah.
It's yeah, I don't know. It's just it feels like if I don't know if I want pages devoted to character building of Tamlin. I don't know if
Yeah,
I'm all that invested, but I think that that might also be why it was easy for us to, I mean, a number of reasons, right? He did
to
lock her up
hate
and
on
with a
him.
cut, but I think it was easier to break that down without developing it so in depth that we're like, but this guy is a tragic soul and he had this and he
Mhm.
has this and all these reasons. Like, she kept it a little bit surface level, so the detachment of the readers from Tamlin, I think, would be
Yeah,
easier. And because Feyre never learns those things about him, so how would
because he
we?
doesn't open up to her. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that is
yeah. The times
yeah.
that he should be opening up to her, he turns into a big old fucking wolfy cat and sleeps at her feet.
I know. It's always so fucked up that he, like, just lets her barf alone. He's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you do that." I
You
don't
can't
know.
tell me he
Yeah.
doesn't wake up. He's got fucking Fey hearing, and he's just like, weird.
Not my problem.
I'll tap
I'm a
that
deep
later
sleeper.
and let her be occupied. It'll be fine. I'll distract her with some dick later. It's fine.
Yeah, he doesn't it, like, seems like he has never cared about Feyre. It seems like even after she rescued him, he was just like, "I guess I gotta be nice to this girl and ask her to marry me." Like, I mean, well, we get told that he, like, really is, like, that he's excited about getting
Yes.
and stuff, but it
Yes.
doesn't ever feel.
It doesn't. And maybe
Yeah.
it's because he just doesn't know how to.
Yeah, maybe it's the heart of stone thing, like, he's
Yeah.
just like, Duh."
Yeah, maybe. I want to know why you can't kill this thing. And is it right? So just stick with me, cuz right.
Mhm.
If the message is that this thing is what you fear and what you dread and you can't kill it, does that mean that you can't kill your fears?
Hmm. That's a good question. Well, okay, actually, with the Tamlin thing, maybe he can kill it, not because he's a High Lord and has more power. Maybe it's because has a heart of stone and he doesn't feel anything and isn't scared.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to be afraid of.
Yeah, maybe that's interesting. Yeah, I mean I mean, Lucian, especially, he's kind of like in his, like, stuck era, right? He's just
Yeah.
like he's just doing nothing at the spring court to be like,
Yeah.
it's very much like, I don't know. It gives, like, mid-20s feeling lost in the world, doing some
Yeah.
bullshit job,
He's
like,
on
just
his Amsterdam trip.
yeah, it just feels like he's
He's just
floundering.
like, I'm backpacking through Europe after I graduated college before I have to find a job.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm just gonna
that's
chill
what
with
he's
my
doing in the
rich
spring.
homie right now.
He's, like, working on his grad school applications for sure this time.
Right?
Um,
Maybe I'll do a postdoc. I don't wanna work.
yeah, yeah, no, well, but, so maybe he would think, because he's, like, in that stuck mode, that he would think that you can't kill your fears, and that's why he thinks that.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe it's just, like, maybe it's just very like, we don't really get anything else, like, about how it works or
Yeah.
anything. And, yeah, that is very interesting. I wouldn't put it past Lucian to think that you can't kill your fears, though, like, metaphorically, symbolically, all that stuff.
Well, and it also, like, doesn't try very hard, right? It comes up and whispers some weird shit into her ears and probably also Lucian's, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then And just as I thought I would give in when my eyes hurt so much from not looking, the cold disappeared from the brush, leaving a trail of still recoiling plants behind it. So it comes up and is like, scary, 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 scary. Look at
Mhm.
me. And when she does it
And then
for
it just, like,
4
gives up.
seconds, it's like, meh, and moves on.
I do get the sense that it's, like, a minute at least, but, yeah, it's not, like, that long. You'd think it would try harder.
Yeah, and so then it's
Yeah.
like, is it I don't know. Or it's just is like there's so many other things that will look at me and it's like, well, they're not going to because they know like whatever. I don't know. Again, I'm adding a ton of information that's not anywhere in this text, but
But it is weird, is it hungry or is it not?
right? And it
Like
feels like the stakes are high
Mhm.
when Lucian talks about it, but the way that it plays out doesn't feel like the stakes are high at all. It's like it was a scary wind
Yeah.
and then it's gone and Lucian's like it would kill you. And she's like, "Oh, weird. I mean, yeah, I was scared and it was cold and it said some weird shit, but like now we're done and we can go."
Yeah. Just to make the world feel
Well,
threatening
yeah,
and
and this is a
dangerous, yeah.
character building
Yeah.
moment, right? It's supposed to be a way for Lucian and Feyre are starting to break down some of their catty, untrusting bullshit, and it's a moment to trust each other, right? Because Feyre listens to Lucian when he says, "Don't move, don't look at it." And in trusting him and listening to him, she survives.
Mhm.
And because she listens to him and starts to trust him, he divulges information about himself,
Yes. Yeah.
right? And so it's like they there needed to be some catalyst that made them
Give them a trauma bond.
yeah, something, even if it's a
Yeah.
mild one. And so again, it probably is just a throwaway moment of being like, I need them to like fear is a great motivator to start trusting each other. So I need something to scare them. But I also don't want to write 17 pages about something that we're not going to see on the page, really.
Yeah.
So it's just like, woo, scariness. And then, okay, now get to what I actually want to do, which is talking about my 2 characters.
Yeah, I think if it had been something maybe a little bit more inherently I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess if they chose something that was more
Or,
tied to, like, Amarantha, it would feel too important maybe, and
yeah.
then it's like,
Well,
I
and
don't
then
know.
maybe it's a backwards thing, right? Where I'm looking at this and I'm thinking about Bryaxis that comes later,
Mhm.
right? Thinking like, ooh, is this a foreshadow moment? Where in reality, right, as someone who writes, I could look back on this and be like, well, now I need another scary sort of something. What
Mhm.
if I develop that thing that I kind of didn't develop in book 1? And if I want to make the connection, I've done enough of the work there to do it, but I don't have to.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's interesting too. I also have I mean, I have some other things about the Boggy before I don't
Mhm.
know if you were gonna move on to their conversation after,
Nope, not
but
yet.
I just have to be annoying about not annoying, I know, but
Be
whatever.
annoying.
I just feel like I beat these certain theories over and over the head. But okay, what is this? Okay, in the back, this is when he's speaking into her mind, the Boggy. And in the back of my mind, an ancient hollow voice whispered.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I'm just thinking like, first of all, we don't know if is Lucian also hearing a voice? Is this like they don't talk about it at all? And
No.
I'm like, is she hearing a voice because she has like some magic again, has some magical ability and so she can sense this? Is Lucian hearing the same thing? Is that what it's supposed to do? It just seems like this ancient hollow voice seems very like and like is it ancient like I don't know, it kinda reminds me of, like, something from, like, the Wild Hunt type,
Ooh, yeah.
like, it seems like
Well,
something like that or something that should be in the middle.
she does this a couple of times when she talks about Lucian, she talks about him feeling ancient or something. There's a couple of moments where that term, like calling something, saying it feels ancient or it looks ancient or sounds ancient,
Yeah,
or he does something that is reminiscent of ancient wisdom or like having
yeah.
being old, basically. Yeah, I don't know. Like,
That's
how would
describing the
you
boggy, but yeah.
yeah, but she does this in a number of times describing characters in the story. And so
Yeah.
it's like, I think I'm
It
wondering if we're just supposed to feel like
like,
this
scary,
well,
yeah.
it's scary, it's, like it's immortal, it's old as like, that it's supposed to it's magic, right?
Mhm.
It's not a human 80 years scary. It's this
Yeah.
eternal, ethereal
evil thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something that's, like,
Yeah.
sheer terror that, like, has been in existence for forever and will be in existence forever, much like fear, right? Like, fear's
Yeah.
never gonna be something that's not on the planet. So I
And
think
that
it
is the
serves to
vibe I got.
yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I guess I would like if I'm Feyre, I'm being like, what did it say to you? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's too weird to ask or too forward, but I'm like, I want to know what Lucian did he hear? Are they hearing the same voice saying the same exact things?
Mm.
Or is it saying something more specific to Lucian? Or does he not hear anything?
She's hearing this in her head because it's in italics and not in quotations.
Yeah, yeah. So, but is Lucian
Yeah,
hearing things
that's
in
what
his own
yeah,
head?
yeah,
That's the
exactly.
presumption, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested to see. Like, I want to know what he also hears. Like, I don't know. It seems like something you would ask about.
Well, and because she's not looking at him to tell us what he's doing, right? Other than
Yeah,
he's pale and shakes his head or whatever.
yeah, yeah. And all the look at me's. Okay, did you see the Reese mention?
No.
I'm just kidding.
But you see all of the fucking Reese mentions, and I'm like, "La ti da, look at this."
I I underlined them the first time I reread the books, but, any mention of a
Oh,
sky, but, she's trying to think of happy thoughts.
yeah,
It
yeah.
says, "I will, I'll fill my belly with you, I will devour you. A starry, unclouded night sky, peaceful and glittering and endless." Okay, but
I
then
did yeah,
you noted that? Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I don't I think it's a Reese mention, but or at least an Easter egg. But I also think it's weird, like,
absolutely.
okay, summer sunrise, the things that she lists next take away the Isaac, just forget that for a second. But she says, "A starry, unclouded night sky, peaceful and glittering endless. Summer sunrise, a refreshing bath in a forest pool." Those 3 things, Reese, summer solstice, and the starlight pool are, like they feel like foreshadowing. Am I crazy?
Mhm, mhm.
Like, she's about to
She
meet Reese.
also she also talks about Elaine as being like the sunrise.
Does she?
Isn't Elaine sort of, like a at some point, she's compared to a sunrise, right? That
No
she's
memory.
just
Yeah.
good and kind and
I could see it.
beautiful. I feel like
Yeah.
there's a connection there.
Well, if that's the case, I would be, like, looking for, like, a Nesta mention too. Although maybe not. But I don't know, to me, it seemed like it was, like, foreshadowing the
I mean,
events
Nesta
that are
takes
in
a
this
weird
book.
bath.
Yeah,
Couple
but
of them, in
a
fact.
refreshing bath in a forest pool, that's that starlight
Yes.
pool.
Yeah.
And then the solstice summer solstice where she kisses Tamlin for the first time, I think.
Yeah, that's Calamni, right?
No, 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 Callan Mai is where that's when she meets Reese, and then I
Right, right,
think
right.
it's after that is the little dancing
Yeah, yeah,
time where
because
she
they
has
have
the
the
and
maypoles.
that's where they kiss at the at sunrise, for of, like, the start of summer. And so,
Mhm.
I don't know, to me, I'm like, "Are we" but then she fall ends it with Isaac, and I'm like, "Okay, that's in the past," but the rest seem, like, forward looking. Maybe they're just nuts. Maybe they're just random fucking shit. Seemed
Hmm.
interesting to me, though.
I mean, I think you're onto something, right? That there's past and future things that we're seeing here, right? Like hot bread and
Yeah.
full bellies, it's what she's wanted, right? In
Mhm.
her past. Isaac, the comfort of her past. Reese, right? Clearly, and he gets the most words because duh. And then,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely yes. The answer is
Actually,
yes.
maybe she's going backwards because she's with Isaac first, and I
Uh-huh.
think actually the forest pool starlight happens before summer solstice
Yes.
and does but no, Callan Mai happens where she meets Reese is after, but also Reese is gonna be
No,
her
but a star
destiny,
yeah, yeah,
so
but a starry unclouded night, peaceful and glittering and endless, that's Valaris. That's not just Reese.
yeah.
That's Valaris.
Yeah. So, yeah, maybe it's like,
That's not
going
yeah, and that's winter
future to
solstice or
past,
sky
yeah.
whatever bullshit, not winter solstice. That's the
Starfall?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I just was like, "This is an interesting list." Um, I was thinking it was future events, but maybe, yeah, maybe it goes in order. Anyway, who knows what the what the it's just interesting.
Well, and it's the things that makes her happy, and they're the
Mhm.
happy moments in this story for her, and so
Very
yeah.
Patronus
Yeah. Yeah.
vibes. Okay, one other thing about the Boggy before we get to the conversation with Lucian, it
Mhm.
does I can't help it. She says, "Okay, I heard its voice in my head. It told me to look. Lucien rolled his shoulders. Well, thank the cauldron that you didn't. Cleaning up the mess would have ruined the rest of my day. He gave me a smile. I didn't return it. I still heard the Boggy's voice whispering between the leaves, calling to me. And to me, I just go, like calls to like. Magic. Your
Oh,
magic. I
nice.
don't know.
I like that.
But I mean, that's kind of, again, it's a little bit of a long shot, but I just, it says calling. So
And then also they wander around the fucking woods for an hour before they talk to each other again?
yeah, that's what I said. I was like, "Wait, what do you mean you're sitting in silence?" That at least shows the drama of it or, like,
Yeah.
the
Or that
so at
it's
least it's that, but
awkward
we
and
forgot that, so it's not like that it doesn't add it doesn't do that much for the story because we forgot that they waited an hour.
yeah.
But it is interesting.
When it's not like it take them an hour to get back, like, they're literally just meandering around the woods.
Just going around.
Where the bog can presumably come back.
Yeah, why aren't they going back? It's
Because they're
weird.
dumb.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it kinda makes me think that, like, the Boggy is actually not that it's not as much of a threat.
Also, the first thing, like, I like sometimes I like just reading dialogue and not reading the extra shit and just thinking about this in terms of like what this would look like, especially if it's like like what does it actually look like?
Mm.
So she says, right, I heard his voice in my head. It told me to look. Well, thanks to the cauldrons you didn't. Cleaning up that mess would have ruined the rest of my day. So you're old.
Well, yeah, plus an hour in between, but yeah.
Sure, but the first thing, like, and where does she get that? Where in any of this, other than the fact that you're above the wall and like whatever, but what would make you not ask you're old? Like, or am I missing that
Yeah.
they said she asks, oh, because she asks him earlier, right? In the last chapter from last week. How old are
Oh,
you?
maybe.
And he just says old.
Yeah, actually, maybe it was in the last chapter.
All right.
Oh, yeah, 87.
Thank you.
How old are you? Old.
So yeah, so she's like trying to break the silence and she's like, "So you're old." AKA this is weird that we're still walking around after an hour not fucking talking to each other and not heading anywhere. So, tell me how old you are, my dude.
Yeah.
He didn't fight in the war cuz he says, "Shit, Feyre, I'm not that old."
Yeah, well, I thought he was born, like, right after the
But
war, right during
Reese and
it.
Tamlin did fight in the war?
Yeah. I think they're, like, young in the war, though, like, they're, like, 20
Sure. Well, I mean, it says Reese is like 500, right?
yeah, so it's, like, close.
But didn't the war happen 500 years? Fucking Sarah, get your timeline in order. This is why I'm doing a whole fucking timeline before I start writing.
Well, if you round like, maybe the war was actually,
I'm
500
gonna
years ago and Reese is
yes.
520. He's rounding down to
Yeah.
500 because he's
Because it feels weird to celebrate 38. I couldn't imagine trying to celebrate 522.
yeah, so he's just like, "Yeah, I'm 500. I'm really
Yeah, yeah.
520, but, like, who
Eh,
cares?
yeah.
Not me." Yeah, imagine it's just something like that 'cause I think they're, like, 20 in the war. I could be wrong, but
This is the stupidest thought she has. And I know, whatever, stupidest may or may not be a word, but this is the dumbest thought she has in this whole book.
would you be able to kill me? Is that
How
what?
is that? Yes, how is that
Yeah.
a question? First off, you were like, even Alice could kill me, who is clearly not a fucking soldier. Because when she does the
Yeah.
thingy, she's like, yeah, you would have just pissed me off, babe. I could still snap your neck. Like, you're fucking mortal, and we're not.
That's true.
She's not talking physical. She's talking like, could he emotionally, would he be willing to
Could he,
do
like,
it?
do powers?
Well, no, or just like, you can physically do something but not be able to. So is that what
Yeah.
she's asking? Like, could you bring yourself to kill me? He doesn't know you. He doesn't like you. And he clearly has the power and a sword to do it. This is a stupid question.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it that much. I just thought, like, "Are you a warrior?" Yeah. Yeah, "Would you be able to kill me?" To me, honestly, I never bought into her fear. So lines like that, I was like, "Okay, we're still pretending to be afraid. Let me just move
Yeah.
on." Like, that's how I read I just read it fast and was like, not gonna pay attention
Yeah.
to that.
Or just like, do I need to fear you? Right?
Yeah. I
Do you have
mean
Like,
It
are
almost
you
feels
yeah,
performative, like,
it
"I'm
does,
supposed to be
yeah.
afraid, let me express some of that." But I just didn't really buy into it that much.
I really love smartass Lucian. We need more smartass Lucian in the next book. Like,
Yeah, you like
would
this
you
little
like yeah,
conversation?
yeah. Would you like me to teach you to wield the blade, or do you already know that, oh mighty mortal huntress? Like, he's such a, like, fucking little catty bitch, and I love it.
I know, it's funny. I also think it's funny that he's, like, trying to, like, get her to, like, lighten up, like, it seems like that was they're both trying to get each other to, like, talk, she's like, "So you're old, okay," and then he's, like,
Mhm.
teasing her and be like, "That's better," you
Well, and
know?
it's also weird because then the tone shifts when he's talking about Andrus, right? Because every time he talks about him before, it's like a sore subject. And now he's, like, kinda teasing her about it,
Oh, yeah.
and is being a little lighthearted about it. Like, it's a hard shift where he's just like, like, is she gonna be worth taking his place? Like, losing him, is she worth losing him? Like, maybe she can go on patrol, like, kinda, like, heard about it and like, "Oh, you skinned him." Like, he's super offended, and then here we are a few pages later after they've had a scary wind go by, and he's just like, Andrus, weird. You shot him in the eye." Like, it's just
Oh,
very casual.
yeah. I actually completely skipped over that, I was just like, I don't know. It is nice to see his personality, though, a little bit
Oh,
more.
yeah.
It just is, like, it's a little bumpy getting there, but,
Also, she didn't shoot Andrus in the chest, and he points to his chest.
yeah, is he saying that, like, "Oh, you messed it up, you should have shot him in the chest?"
I
Or
don't
is he
I
just think she's wrong?
Yeah, I don't know. He says, if you took down Andrus, you probably don't need to learn anything, only where to aim, right? But that she didn't
Yeah.
shoot, and then he taps his chest, like,
Yeah,
you
he
only
shot
need to
him in
aim
the
at our
eye.
heart. She should have been, yeah. And she tells him that. He's not under any pretenses that he doesn't, like, he knows how she killed him.
Hmm,
So I don't know, just thought it was interesting that, like, is that how to kill you, Lucian? Do we have to hit you in your heart? Hit you where it hurts, right?
definitely. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think that
Yeah.
there's something there. It's like you just need to know where to aim. Okay, well, clearly it's Lucian's heart if you want to kill him.
Maybe it's a hint at Tamlin. When you're asked to stab in 500 pages, you gotta do it in the heart, not the eye.
Yeah, and goes dink. I want it to be like the worst sound effect. If ever there's a movie, I just want it to be like,
Oink. I know, dude. Yes.
yeah, he's definitely talking, like, he's definitely trying to tease her and loosen up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, "Much better," and then she's like,
Well, because then, like,
"Maybe
I
Alice is
suppose.
wrong."
Well, because he's like, I suppose you humans are such hateful cowards that you would have wet yourself, curled up, and waited to die if you'd known beyond a doubt what Andrus truly was, insufferable. Lucian sighs and looks me over. Do you ever stop being so serious and dull? And then do you ever stop being a prick? And then he's like, much better. But, like, yeah, it's like this whole, I don't know. I feel like he's using Andrus to make light and be cheery and kind of catty and, like, breaking down some of those barriers between them. It just, I don't know. It's an interesting choice.
Yeah, specifically the Andress. It would be fine if it didn't have that.
Yeah, if you but
Yeah.
also, that's the only thing he knows about her, right? Like, that's the only thing they have about. He can't be like, "Oh, so you killed a deer," and she's like, "Yeah, motherfucker, I was hungry." Like, what's he gonna, like, he
Mhm.
can't tease her about hunting a deer, but he can tease her about hunting a wolf, I suppose. Um,
Yeah, or I mean,
I don't
just
know.
I feel like there's just easy things. You wanna make fun of someone, just, like, make fun of whatever they're wearing or whatever they're doing.
Or he's letting her off the hook, right? Because he says, "I suppose you
Hmm.
humans are such hateful cowards that you would have wet yourself, curled up, and waited to die if you had known what he was. But yet you killed him, so you didn't know what he was." So maybe this is
Mm.
him, like,
Yeah,
turning and being like, all right, maybe this isn't a moment of her just being hateful and wanting to see Faye dead, but, like, she really didn't know. And she saw a big ass fucking wolf. And so she killed a big wolf when she's
yeah.
starving. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's what this is it really is. It's like the moment where he's sort of not forgiving her, but, like, being like, "Alright."
Yeah. Like, I guess if I
Yeah.
didn't know what it was either, like, I can't be mad that you killed my friend when he was over the wall doing exactly what he was supposed to be doing, getting you to kill him.
Yep. Um, I do think it's also interesting that Lucien seems to be more, himself, like, when he's not around Tamlin. It's kinda like Feyre, actually, they're like 2 sides of the same coin.
Yes.
E By the time we got back, he was in a his our truce had ended, like, he's
Well,
only happy when he's away from Tamlin.
because Tamlin makes everybody walk on eggshells because he's a manipulative crybaby bitch.
Yeah, he really is. But yeah, it's like they're both in an abusive relationship with Tamlin.
Yeah, yeah. Aw,
God,
Lucian's been in one for a long time.
I know, a long
I
time.
wonder well, hold up. I wonder if Lucian can leave. I mean, he can't go back to the he can go back to Autumn Court, like, they're not actually gonna kill him.
Yeah, I think
He's run into his brothers before, they fucking hate his ass, probably because they know that he's, he's
yeah.
more powerful than they or whatever, but, like,
Mm.
he's not exiled, is he?
No, no, well, I think he'd be hunted if he went back to Autumn Court, but maybe he just, like, can't be sure that, like, Winter will harbor him, and he's, like, the only one he knows won't turn him back into his daddy is Tamlin, so maybe that's why he feels like
So he
he
also has a false choice,
yes.
so he's
Yeah,
also trapped?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And it's interesting that yeah, it's more fitting that they escape together.
Yeah, because maybe he's also trapped.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't never seem that happy, you never see them, like, palling around. If
No.
anything, it just seems like Lucian's, like, Tamlin's weird servant.
Y
Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely a power dynamic there that should not be there, like, there's no
Lucy's
power
afraid of him a lot.
there's not like, okay, look, think about, like, Cassian and Azriel to Rhys, like, they work for him, that is their High Lord, same
Mm,
situation, right? Like, Azriel's his fucking spy master who literally is just like, on a whim, Rhys can be like, "Hey, fuck off, go get me information."
mhm,
Like, "I
mhm.
don't care what you want, what you think," like, and even with Elaine, like, in the bonus chapter, he's like, no, you're done." And,
I hate that
like
bonus chapter.
so do I, but and then, like, even with Cassian, right? He's like that's his general, so he can be like, "Yeah, no, that sucks, my man, we're going to war." And yet,
Yeah.
the power dynamics stops at some point, right? They become equals, they're brothers. Like,
Yeah,
when they're in their roles, sure, there's something there, but it doesn't feel like Reese all the time is in the superior position, right? Because Cassian can call Reese on his shit. Azriel can call Reese on his shit. Lucian cannot
and they're
call
very
Tamlin on his
casual.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even with the power dynamic that's there and like the leadership roles and the hierarchy that's there, they consider each other brothers,
Mhm.
right?
And Lucian kinda talks to Tamlin as if he thinks that, but it's not the same at all.
Yeah, no, Tamlin and Lucian never refer to each other as family. This is my emissary. This is my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Never
Yeah.
once is it family. How long is it? 50 years this motherfucker's been living with you?
At least, yeah,
And he's
it's at
not
least.
the only person living with you. And he's not your family yet?
It is
Like,
like, what does Tamlin give
you
a fuck
lock
about?
me in a mansion with some yummy ass food with a pretty fucking redhead, yeah, we're family or we're fucking. That's it. Like, those are the 2
Mm,
options.
yeah, good point.
Oh, that's gonna be that's gonna be like the quote. "You locked me somewhere for 50 years. We're family or we're fucking."
Yeah, dude. Yes. It's funny. Oh my god.
It
Oh, yeah,
just
they're
seems
such a
very
weird little
strange that, like, we're supposed to think that this is a very strong bond, and it doesn't feel like a very strong bond.
yeah. No, yeah, and that's not even something I realized though, like, even as I reread this, and just as we were talking, I was like, "You know what? They actually they are not happy together." Like,
Also
they're
in,
just
like, book 3, right, when she comes back and is all, "Fuck the Spring Court," Lucian knows what she's doing as she's doing it.
mhm.
He's
And honestly, he's more loyal to her always though.
Yes,
Like, it's
and
like,
he doesn't say
is this your best
anything,
friend or not?
and yeah, he doesn't say anything, and he plays into it, or he bows down to her, right, and is like a little tribute or whatever when the fucking sun shines behind her face, but, like, yeah, I don't know, I just the loyalty between Lucien and Tamlin is unconvincing.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if we'll get. I mean, I assume we'll hear more about what's up with
Yeah.
that. Um,
Maybe that's the portrayal we'll get,
I
though.
I
Like,
hope we get some Lucian chapters. Yeah, yeah.
we have to get
Um,
I want Lucien POV chapters too. Like, I don't want just, like, things that are kinda like, I don't want Lucien through Elaine or Lucien through
through
through s
Feyre
no, I
sneaking
want
into his brain.
Lucien's point of
Yes.
view.
Yeah, yeah. I think that'll feel really nice and fresh when we get those. We have to get those. I will die.
She can't this next book, I swear to God, if it's a first person, I'm gonna lose my fucking shit.
I don't think it'll be
No,
a first
it
person.
cannot be. It has to be third.
No. Especially since, you've heard that theory about people think that Feyre gets first person chapters because she's the mother, and that's the only reason she's allowed to have first person. These are some fringe theories, but I kind of like it.
Interesting.
Um, like she's like an iteration of the mother, and like so that's why she gets like this. I don't know. It's kind
But
of
wouldn't
mystical and
Elaine and
interesting.
Nesta also be part of that system? Why would they not get
Well, in my theory, Feyre's the mother, Elaine's the Fates, and Nesta's the Eddies of the Cauldron. So not they wouldn't be the same.
hmm,
But I think there's something to Feyre having first person. Also, Reese is the only other person.
eddies of the cauldron, huh?
Yeah, because when the cauldron's being described, it's described in those three things: the cauldron, or somebody describes it like that. Yeah,
Hmm.
I know. I have all the. That's one of my more French
You're
theories.
saying that Reese has a specifically
First
first
person.
person point of view of him?
I think he's the only person besides Feyre to have one. I could be
Weird.
wrong. I'll have to look it up. Well, the first chapter of
Mm.
ACOTAR,
Mm-hmm.
and I think something else too.
Yes. Yeah, I think you're right because there's a
Yeah.
couple of chapters that
Oh,
switch.
at the end of Miss and Fury, he has a perspective chapter
Got it.
when he's like freaking out that Feyre's in the night court.
I love that Caleb is our fact checker.
I, he'll just like come in and be like, "These bitches don't know what they're fucking talking about." No, it's just like it's too much stuff to hold in your head. Like
Mhm.
the last thing I sort of had was just like I just thought it was interesting that she's like. I mean, okay, I think it was our first seed of like, um, you know, or one of the first seeds of her having like feelings for Tamlin a little bit, like waiting up for him. But I also think it's kind of interesting. Like she finds out, oh, he can kill them. That's scary. He's powerful. And then she like sharpens her knife. I'm like, okay, if he's so powerful, why are you sharpening your little dinky kitchen knife? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
what is that just a maybe if it's like a nervous tick, I guess. And also I think like I've always thought it was a little bit strange how she describes like if some man is hot and sexy, she's talks about him as like predatory or like so
Mhm.
powerful, like unimaginably powerful. And I always thought that was like weird, but it that kind of was what's happening. My breath caught a bit. The gruff, high fey, half-heartedly flattering me was capable of killing a thing like the boggy, and now I'm gonna wait up all night for him. Like I don't know, it just seemed a little interesting.
Hmm.
But maybe it's just to be her first inclinations of caring for Tamlin, and that's all we're supposed to take from
I
it. But
wish that it was that she was waiting up to see if he like hoping that he wasn't coming back because then she could fucking go home.
Now that's interesting. Yeah, maybe she's like, "Oh, this guy's gonna get killed."
Yeah, like he's gonna get killed, and Lucian is totally fine with me going home, and nobody else is gonna hold me to this fucking treaty because whatever. So, like, yeah, let's fucking go, Bog. Let's kill this motherfucker so I can peace out Girl Scout to go hang out with my shitty family. But
You
it,
think
yeah,
that's what she's doing?
no, that's what I
Or you're
wish
just
she
the
was
one
doing.
option? Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I wish was more explicit.
Yeah.
Or maybe a wrestle in between the two, right? Where she's just like, will I be relieved if he doesn't come back? Because if he doesn't come back, then maybe I'm out of the treaty. But like,
Mhm.
I don't know, he did like he served me and but then he's also scary and like I wish we were seeing more of a wrestling as opposed to it being like, how could this thing that was capable of being nice, capable of killing? Well, ma'am, that's how people work. They're multifaceted. And he's
Yeah.
not killing mercilessly. He's killing a big scary thing that's supposed to be like wanted to eat your flesh. So,
Yeah.
like, it's not like she was like, huh, how can he serve me and then be the BTK killer? Like, that's a real question. right?
Yeah, yeah.
But this is not a real question. This is like, how can he be nice and also want to kill monsters? Yeah, nice people kill monsters. Like,
Yeah.
it's very, yeah. And then it's like all it just I don't know. I'm wondering how the fuck I rooted for this couple when I
I
first read
didn't.
this
I was
book.
like, "Whatever."
I don't know if I rooted for them, but I think I felt like, well, okay, this is the love interest, so I'll just be here to read about how they fall in love. Like,
Mm.
cool,
See, I
let's
never
go.
read Romantasy before this, so I just I was, like, reading a story. I was like, "I hear they're gonna fuck at some point," but I didn't expect, like, right away, and I didn't expect it to be, like, the first person.
I know they're gonna fuck at some point. I'm just here for the story.
Okay. Yeah,
And
'cause
then they have the most lackluster sex ever. And
yeah.
one time.
Yeah, they only fuck once
Yeah.
before that and, like, it's such a
Yeah.
teenager thing. I
Yep.
fucked a guy once, and I'm gonna go ki die for him. That's like
He served me food.
it wouldn't have been believable if she was 25, like, she had to be 19,
Oh,
that's the real reason.
for sure. Could you imagine if she was like 30 years old? We'd be like, no, bitch. No.
Yeah.
She'd be like,
You
Isaac
have a
dicked
fully
me
formed
down
brain.
just as good. I don't know what's happened. I'm gonna go back over the wall. You handle your crazy little blight situation. And I'm a fuck around with my own folk. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, I would say I do think it would've, like it actually to the overall story kinda might have been more interesting if she had, just found out the truth and just thought that there was something that she could do, um, but just going to save a man, sure, whatever. But, like, I'm
Yeah.
just like
I mean, I think that it's easy to see how she develops feelings for him.
yeah. Well, and he puts it nicely too, he goes, "You just care for the first thing." Somebody says that to her, like,
Yeah.
"You just never had anyone pay attention to you,
Yeah.
fell for the
And
first person who was nice to you."
yeah. Well, and I can see at 19, right?
Oh,
This
I would have done that shit all day. I would have been like,
well,
"Nice?
yeah,
You're
and even
nice to me?"
without starving. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I moved in with a guy when I was 19 and was like, "I'm in love," and then was like, "Oh shit, now I'm trapped and legit with like I was Feyre.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
"I'm gonna drop all of my past and we're never gonna talk about it, and I'm never gonna be that human ever again because that makes him uncomfortable. So we're just gonna not talk about the human side of me, and we're gonna be
yeah.
this one thing that he wants. And anytime I deviate from that one thing, it's going to be a crazy psycho argument. And I'm walking on eggshells all the time. And I can't do the things. And I got to wear the shit that he wants me to wear because he wants me to be this pretty little fucking princess, but also
Ugh.
super covered because no one else can like me." Yeah, I was Farah. Maybe that's why she pisses me off in this first book.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think a lot of us have been Feyre or
Yeah.
Feyre-like
Oh, for
at
sure. For
times.
sure.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do think that it speaks to the writing that she creates a character that we all kind of fall for with Feyre a little bit and then absolutely fucking hate real quick in book 2 and see how like we get manipulated the same way that Feyre does, right? Because we're like, "Oh, this guy could be the one. This could be who she's
Yeah.
with. This could be this could be that." And then it's very and it's very very clearly not.
Mhm.
And so one, I think that it speaks to just the reality that that's how things happen when you're 19 and that's how abusive relationships happen, right? Or
Mhm.
manipulative and controlling relationships happen. I think it's a very real progression, right? There's a person who is in a position of vulnerability and that vulnerability gets preyed upon by someone that has more power and then it creates this controlling environment. But also she makes us kind of follow along and be into it and then also be pissed at it and like I don't know. I think part of that I think is speaks to the quality of the writing and the
Yeah.
quality of the storytelling to like have us do that.
She builds it slowly and kinda well,
Mhm.
and you just yeah, I mean, yeah, it's interesting to sort of think about, like, all the things. I think this is one of those seeds that she's, like, waiting up for him, you're like,
Mhm.
"Okay, you're sort of falling for this guy."
I do remember my first read through of this though already being like I want to see her with Reese.
Oh, I did not. And also in Aquarius and Fury, okay, this is what I thought of romantasy. This is my impression of it. When she started like kind of hinting at that she was into Reese, I was like, no, and I thought, "Is this author?" Because 'cause I'd heard things. I'd heard that these books were, like, bad. A lot of people didn't like them, right? So I thought, "No, maybe the bad thing is that she's gonna get with, like, a different guy in every book, and it's, like, gonna be one guy from every fucking court, and that is gonna be such a stupid contrived plot," and I was
Mhm.
like, that's what I was anticipating, and then you get further into this, and you're like, "There's no way in fucking hell that that is gonna
Yeah,
happen," but,
yeah.
like, that's what I thought at first, and I was like, "Ugh, that's so icky and gross. Just stay with Tamlin, like, you will save Tim, blah, 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 like,
Yeah,
why
yeah.
are we
It's
doing
it's
this?"
pornographic, but it's not pornography.
But,
Like
yeah, so I just
yeah.
thought she was gonna, like, ha have a nice little love story with every single High Lord,
Mhm.
and I was not about that. I mean, that would be insane to do, but, that was
Yes, it would be. And then it would be a why choose reverse harem where all the high lords just bang her all the time and we just have one high queen and many high
ugh,
lords.
no.
There's some
I'm glad it was the way it was, but I was, like, team Tamlin for half of Miss and Fury because I didn't want her to switch. I was like, You're with this person
no,
who is, like," and then I was like, "Okay, I guess he's, like, whatever."
I was one of those basic bitches that the second the guy in black walked in, I said, "Oh, fuck Tamlin. Bang this guy." The second
That's
she
so
sa like, the
funny.
second that it was so because when she meets him at Callum 9, she's like, "He's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen," right? And then when he, like, fucks with her brain, when he's in the castle, I was like, alright." Like, clear at first, I was like, "He's not a throwaway character, this guy's gonna be here for a while." Like, there's no way.
Yeah, I don't have thoughts like that. I just am like, "This guy's here." Yeah.
And then I think when he comes into her cell, not to make the bargain, but when he comes into the cell and he's like, she's fucking running me crazy, or she's like, because Amarantha keeps having him like bang the shit out of her
Mhm.
for forever. When he comes in and he's like exhausted from fucking her, and she's like, "What are you doing in my cell?" And he's like, "I just wanted to be in a quiet place and with someone that I didn't hate." I was like, "Oh, I'm here for
That's
Reese.
it.
Let's
Yeah.
go. I'm done." Like that's I was like, "Oh, this is someone he wants to feel safe with." I'm done. Tamlin can go fuck himself.
That's funny.
Plus at the time, Tamlin was just sitting up at the fucking throne, not doing a goddamn thing.
Oh, dude, seriously. I
So at
was
that point,
so
I think I was so over Tam. I was like, let's just move on. Let's get on some Batwing dick and let's move it along. Like
yeah.
this
I mean, I
Tamlin
think I was also
situation.
like, "Dude, you died for this person, like, stay with him." Like, that's all, like but, I was actually suspicious of Reese when she said, "I was the most beautiful man I see," and I go, "That's your human senses. That guy's a con person, like,
Mhm.
he's not the most beautiful man. He's got some magic shit going on that's, like, making you think he's beautiful and, like, he's gonna." I to me, that seemed like danger.
Although when Rune sees Lydia for the first time in the bar, and he turns to her and he's like, "She's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." I was like, "Up, mates."
Don't remember.
He fucking hates her because she's, the hind,
Uh-huh.
and she's being a dick to him, and he doesn't know that she's, the fucking light that he talks to.
Yeah. I
But
remember
yeah,
them
like
meeting at
they
that
meet
mm.
in the astral projection plane, right? And
Yeah,
then
I
when
remember
he
that.
sees her in person, she like basically comes up on him in the bar, and he
Mhm.
turns and he was like, "She was the most beautiful like woman or female I had ever seen, and she was a cunt." And I was like, "Oh,
You're
cool.
like, "That's it." Yeah.
That's who this is. That's who he's talking to. That's his mate."
Yeah.
I also like that because they have like astral projection sex, but not real sex, that there's like a little bit of a mate bond, so their scents have kind of changed, but don't fully change.
Oh,
I kind of liked
yeah.
that the mate bond was a little bit there.
Well,
Anyways,
weights are different in Crescent City though, right?
not
I
between
don't
Fae.
yeah. I think I'm just thinking because maybe it's because Bryce is half human. Because she says, like, "I guess we'll call each other mates," and I was like, "Well,
No,
you don't
no,
just."
no, no. Hunt says, because she's like, "Well, what am I supposed to call you? Like my boyfriend? That feels weird." And then they go through a bunch of shit, And then
Oh, yeah.
Hunt says, "What about mate?" And Sheik is like weird about it because she's like, that means something different to Fae than it does to angels. And he was like, it means forever. So what's the deal?" And she's like, "Cool, mate." And I think what we're supposed to think is that it's kind of both, right? Yes, it's this fated mate situation, but there's a aspect of choice
Mm.
in
And
there.
so they're mates because they chose to be?
Yes.
Yeah.
But that there was already something possibly there, right?
I
But I
mean, you get
think
that
that it
sense
but
too,
I
yeah.
think it's leading us up to telling us things like the mate bond can be rejected, which we already know that, right? That it can
Yeah.
be rejected because Reese says like sometimes, women or like the
Mhm.
females can reject it a little bit easier than the men. Like it doesn't go so well for the dudes. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, and Tamlin is the mate to Amarantha, maybe that's why he's fucking miserable, is because it's that much harder for him to turn away from the mate bond.
Mm.
But also gives Elaine an out to be like, no, like it's not absurd for there to be a fated mate bond and for the female to say, nah.
Yeah, although I don't want her to say, I like her with Lucien, but,
I like her. Yeah, I'm down with her and Lucian together. I don't like her and Asriel together. I'm not into it. I don't like it. I don't think that their personalities are compatible at all. I don't think that their powers are compatible at all. Like none of that I don't like any of
yep,
it.
that's so funny.
Asriel is too harsh.
I know everyone loves Azrael, but I'm like, he isn't anybody to me yet. He's like a guy.
Yeah.
He seems the most henchman-like out of all of them, and I'm like, "I'm excited to get to know you, bud, but, like, right now."
I don't know what it is. I have a little soft spot. I think because we have been given such polar, like we're either given complete stoicism, right? And that henchman sort of like,
Mhm.
you know, or what we do get are these bursts of like in-depth moments, but we don't
Yeah,
get the full depth, right? So like it's like, yeah, we know that he's into more, and then we know that the shadow situation and he's quiet and he doesn't do much. And then like, but when we get it, it's like, don't like watch how you speak to my high lady. Like there's this like reverence and
yeah,
loyalty that he has. Or we get these really soft moments where like when he's going in to save what's her fuck, like he carries her out, right?
yeah.
And like I don't know, I just feel like we get enough of
I
these.
like him, I just feel like I don't know him. I don't
Sure.
get him. Yeah, I think I'm excited to see Azrael. I just am like, yeah, I feel like people are obsessed with him because they like imagine him to be X, Y, and Z, or they're like they let their imaginations run wild with like some context. I don't know.
Well, and we're told that he's hot.
And I guess I just don't think it's that interesting when people are just hot. I just am
That's
like,
fair.
who are they? Like,
That's
is he
fair.
funny? Um, and I do like the little moments that we have had with him, but I just yeah, I don't have enough.
Although
Um,
I do think that we have some good bones that
definitely, yeah.
when she fills in, we're just gonna be eating it up. Like
I think so
I
too,
feel
and
like
that's yeah,
if she wrote a 300-page book that tried to like really like beef up Tamlin's character, there would be a small group of readers who would be real into it, but most of us would be like, it's whatever, great. So we know more about this dick.
yeah.
With Asriel, I feel like she's given us enough really tasty
Mhm,
bones that we're real excited to see what the full character looks like, right? Because we're like, cool, weird, tragic past, fucked up family,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
Oh, like this perseverance story, this
Yeah.
made family moment, right? And enough mystery. I think that's part of it. He's hot and mysterious, right?
Yeah.
And then when we do get him opening his mouth to say something meaningful, it is meaningful, right? And like when he's training with
Yes.
Feyre and he's teaching her how to fly, and his sort of I don't know. I think that they're fruitful moments that we get from him versus Tamlin
Definitely.
are not always fruitful.
No, yeah. Well, and I think Tamlin's way, way, way more flatter. But yeah, I think the bones are there, like you're saying. Like kind of like with Cassian. Like before Silver Flames, was I a Cassian lover? Like kind of, I liked him, but
Yeah,
no, it's like Silver Flames that locks him in for you.
yeah, yeah,
I feel like we should just leave the entire Puka scene
yeah. I'm good with
start
that.
like, we start with the last bit of the chapter because that's, like,
Yeah.
where she describes it and stuff. Um,
Yeah. I thought
yeah.
that the tone of this last page before the puka where she's waiting up for Tamlin felt like even rereading this, I was like, it's unconvincing that she cares now. Like, why? Why do you care now?
Yeah.
And so I thought that as a rewrite, it would be more interesting for her to be waiting up to see that he doesn't come back because it could get
Yeah.
her out of the treaty.
Or just,
Because
like, make
that's
her she can't fall asleep, and she doesn't know why. Like, it
yeah.
doesn't have to be like, "I'm waiting," you know? You just be like,
Well,
"I'm bored and
what's
I
at
can't sleep."
stake, right? Like what's at stake? So he either kills it, okay, it wasn't going to come back and kill you anyway, so you're not any more or less safe
Mhm.
if it's dead or if it's not. And because it's something
Yeah.
that you can't kill, that's why you're stressed out about it. You know that he's a high fae. You know that he wears a fucking bandolier. like
Yeah.
or like, like he's walking around by himself in a castle with weapons. Of course he could fucking kill shit.
Yeah, although he's not in the castle, he's in the forest, right?
No, but he has his weapons
Yeah.
on him in
Yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
house,
All
right?
the
And
time,
like
yeah.
all the time. So I don't know. It seemed weird that it was like, wait, he can kill this thing that and maybe if she was like, well, Lucian said he can't kill it, but Tamlin can. What's the difference between those two? But Lucian doesn't say he can't kill it. He says, you can't kill it.
No, I think he does say he can't kill it, because I think she says, like, "Oh, I thought you said it can't be killed," and he goes, Tamlin's different." I think it's on the page right before.
She says, what's that? He says, you don't want to know. She says, please, that's the cereal? What a cereal, right? And he says, no, it was a creature that should not be in these lands. We call it the bog or boggy. You cannot hunt it. You cannot kill it, even with your beloved ash arrows.
Hmm,
But she doesn't
okay.
say, but you
Well, and
can
then
kill
next
it.
on 93, he says,
You said it couldn't be killed.
yeah, that you can't face it, and he said Tamlin can.
Yeah,
Yeah, I inferred from that that actually Tamlin can't kill it, or Lucian couldn't kill it either.
sure. And maybe if he could, he would have in that moment. But I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know. I
You get the sense that Lucian definitely thinks Talon's super duper strong and he's not, which I I think probably
Or
won't
is
be
it
true
like, does
forever.
it take a high lord to kill something like that? Like,
Yeah,
what
maybe
what is
because
it
that's
about?
what Talon implies when he talks about like, oh, Tamlin's a High Lord, so he can do X, Y, and
I
Z.
feel like the rules of like the way that he describes them as not having an affinity, like a natural born affinity. I was so very confused by that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Every fucking high lord has a natural born
Yeah,
ability. It's like
yeah, that is funny.
that's how become high lords. It's born into them.
Well, I think that Tamlin can hunt the beast because he's a demon. He's the prototype of hunt.
What?
I'm just kidding. I mean, no, I'm not really kidding. That is kind of like my one of my crackpot theories is that Tamlin is like this weird thing because he was like, I don't know. It's a fun
Hmm.
theory.
It is
It's
a fun
not
thing.
really there's not a lot of evidence for that. I have a couple, like, description
Hmm.
evidences that we have not gotten to yet, but,
Interesting.
it's
Ooh.
a stretch.
It is, but it's okay. That's what we do here.
Yes,
We read some shit and we infer way too much information and we extrapolate things that are not there. And we make shit up and then we guess.